Oh man, a cold November rain. That is the big story today at 4 o'clock as we take a live look outside. And not just rain, we've also got some storms on radar. Good afternoon, I'm Dustin Grove.
And I'm Felicia Lawrence, and we're actually in the Weather Center this afternoon with meteorologist Sean Ash to start things off. It's an icky one.
Yeah, and it's been a while since we've had an active radar like this here. And here we are with temperatures in the 40s, and we've got some rumbling going on. Let me show you the latest here. Severe thunderstorm warning continues for parts of Brown, Bartholomew County here. Not all the county. IU's now in the clear on this particular storm. This will be for hail up to the size of maybe quarters or a bit larger as it's passing through Brown County right now. Heavy storm that's over Greenwood, New Whiteland, Bargersville into Needham and Franklin, moving quick toward the east. This is I-65 there in central Johnson County. It is going to be a wet and locally stormy next about 90 minutes. Now, these are quick moving. I will tell you that. It's already about to pass through Terre Haute, heads up there, Brazil, Greencastle. This particular storm may have wind up to about 55 to 60 miles per hour. Marion, Logansport, Lafayette. Just going to be cold rain the farther north you go. But this zone from Crawfordsville, Greencastle down toward the Ohio River between now and 6 o'clock, we're going to have some strong storms. Much more to come. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Now to the State House, where President Trump's redistricting push appears to be in trouble.
Lawmakers met to talk about the upcoming legislative session today, but questions about redrawing the congressional map were on everybody's minds. The Senate pretty much seemed to shut that down, though. 13 News State House reporter Emily Longnecker is there right now. So, Emily, where do things stand?
Well, Dustin and Felicia, lawmakers in both the House and Senate voted today to not come back into this building until January 5th, which on its face would seem to indicate that they are not going to take up redistricting, but there is every indication that this is far from over. House Speaker Todd Huston said today he has told members to keep the first 2 weeks of December open and that House Republicans stand ready still to vote to redraw the maps of Indiana's congressional districts. Now, we spoke with Governor Braun earlier today before the House and Senate met, and he seemed to indicate at that time that he believed redistricting was still going to happen.
So here's how it happens. When you see now that Republicans have finally gotten off of their seat and stood up, and when you see that the orchestration so far has been to give time to get them there, and when that decision was made by the Senator Bray, that's because it was so close. With all the pressure, all the stuff that's going to come from here forward, this is just in the first inning. So we're going to see what happens. The House is already publicly out there for it.
Then, of course, that vote in the Senate today to not come back until January 5th, clearly showing a majority of senators still not on board with the redistricting plan. The vote was 29 to 19. We've got a map to show you how each lawmaker voted on WTHR.com. Senate President Pro Tem Rod Bray said a number of senators, himself included, did not think redistricting was the best way to keep control of the U.S. House in 2026, and that even if congressional districts were redrawn, it would be no guarantee that Republicans would end up with 9 congressional seats. House Speaker Todd Huston, though, says lawmakers in that chamber are still in support of redistricting and ready to, as he said today, get the job done, which means the House could come in and still vote. Huston said right now he has not seen any proposed maps, but there have been discussions. So what does that mean for the Senate if the House comes back in to vote? Would they come in too? I can only tell you that during session, many times something will pass in one chamber and then it never makes it to the floor. It's never called up for a vote in the other chamber. And it's the leader of both of these chambers that is in charge of deciding if something gets to the floor. Now, Governor Braun issued a statement in the last 30 minutes talking about what happened here today. And it said in part, "Now I am left with no choice other than to explore all options at my disposal to compel the state Senate to show up and vote." So suffice it to say, this issue is far from over. Dustin, Felicia.
And meanwhile, yet another state senator came out publicly against redistricting today. All right, much more to come. We'll see you at 5 o'clock. Thanks, Emily.
And in the past few hours, the family of an Indiana National Guardsman who was killed in Boone County is speaking out against a comment made by Senator Jim Banks. 23-year-old specialist Terry Fry was killed in a crash Friday on I-65 near Whitestown. 3 days later, Banks posted on X claiming Fry's life was cut short on I-65 by a, quote, illegal who never should have been here in the first place, end quote. Today, his family replied in part, Terry's death is not a political prop. He was a son, a father, a soldier, and a deeply loved member of our family long before he was a headline. Turning the worst moment of our lives into a talking point for any political agenda is inappropriate and hurtful. That is from his family. We should also note 3 other guardsmen were injured in the crash. They're currently being treated at a local hospital. Boone County Sheriff's Office says the cause of the crash is still under investigation.
A Whitestown man is now facing charges for allegedly shooting and killing Maria Florindo Rios Perez, a cleaning worker who showed up to the wrong house and tried to open Kurt Anderson's front door. Anderson has now been charged with voluntary manslaughter. The Boone County prosecutor says the case does not meet Indiana's stand your ground protections. Anderson's lawyer, though, says they're disappointed by the charges and believe Anderson was justified in self-defense.
This is such an unusual case with a lot of legal questions surrounding it. Joining us to help us understand it is Professor Courtney Benson Coy, who teaches at the IU McKinney School of Law's Legal Defense Clinic. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so the homeowner has been charged with voluntary manslaughter. That's obviously different than murder, but can you explain kind of the difference?
Sure. So murder is a knowing and intentional killing of another human being. Voluntary manslaughter has an additional element of sudden heat. And so what we have here is murder plus sudden heat. And in Indiana law, fear or terror can be described as sudden heat. And so that's where they're coming from with the charging decision.
The defense attorney mentioned the Castle Doctrine or the stand your ground law that we have heard about. How will that play into their case that they're making?
I think that's going to be huge in their case, but I will say the Castle Doctrine does have 2 different components. A personal component, does the jury believe that the person was in fear at the time? But there's a separate component that also has to be met, which is would a reasonable person also have been in fear at the same time?
So this is going to be a tough case, you think, for the prosecution and the defense, both of them?
I think so. This is just a tough case all the way around.
Okay, Professor Benson Coy, thank you.
Thank you.
And just a few hours ago, the House voted to release the Epstein files. So this is video of the moment U.S. representatives passed legislation forcing the Justice Department to release documents on late financier Jeffrey Epstein. Only one person voted no, Republicans Clay Higgins from Louisiana. He posted on X he voted no because he's concerned it would endanger innocent people named in the files. The bill now heads to the Senate, where leaders have indicated it will pass and head to the president's desk.
This afternoon, an Indianapolis apartment complex is under fire from Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita.
So he says management at Lake Castleton on the northeast side has failed to maintain safe and habitable living conditions. Our Ashton Hackman is in studio this afternoon. And Ashton, you have to help us break this down.
Yeah, a lot to take in here. As you can see, this lawsuit runs more than 50 pages. It was filed here in Marion County and is against the now former management company in charge of that complex. The lawsuit lays out 132 separate health code cases against Lake Castleton, all from last year till now, and includes complaints from at least 11 different residents who lived or live there. Those complaints detail broken heat and AC, water leaks, mold, pest problems, and maintenance delays. Things Sierra Harvey knows about personally. She tells me she moved into Lake Castleton nearly 2 years ago, and last summer her water heater broke and sent water all over the apartment. But maintenance, she says, took months to fix it.
I brought that to them several times with the response of yeah, we're gonna get out there and we're gonna get it fixed. But nobody fixed the issue until literal 3 to 4 months later.
And even with those repairs, she says this is what was left behind: mold on the walls and floor trim. Harvey tells me she was worried about her health as a result. Now, Lake Castleton Apartments just switched to new management last month. They are managed by a company out of Michigan, Friedman Communities. Ahead at 5, I'll have more from what Harvey was telling me, including the reaction management gave her about a review she posted online. It's something you're going to want to hear.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that mold's something you can't sit on.
Yeah, it seems so frustrating.
Yeah.
Ashton, thank you.